Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. My name is Nursana Soleha from MLG 1204B, and today we will be presenting on the topic of discussion, terminology tools for translators. Before we begin, let's start with the introduction. Can each speaker introduce themselves?
Alright, my name is Faris Najmi bin Sasukamal and I'm the first speaker.
Assalamualaikum, and I'm Sayang binti Sabaran, the second speaker after Faris.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Muhammad Azrul bin Mat Yusof and I'm the third speaker after Sayang.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm Muhammad Zaimil Zafri and I'm the fourth speaker after Azrul.
All right, thank you, everyone. So firstly, let's talk about terminology. So terminology refers to the specific set of words or expressions used in a certain field or subject. For example, in legal, medical, technical, or even business language. So these terms often have precise meanings that should be maintained across all translation to ensure the clarity and the accuracy. So basically, it is about using the correct term that is recognized within a specific context or industry. For example, in medicine, myocardial infarction must be translated accurately and not loosely like heart problem. So I believe that using consistent terminology is important for translators because it ensures the accuracy and clarity, especially in fields where misunderstanding a term can have serious consequences. Next, and it shows professionalism, whether in text or during speaking. So relying solely on memory is risky as humans, our memory is fallible, meaning that it's easy to forget or mix up terms without realizing it. So it increases inconsistency in projects or documents. So let me pass this to the next speaker.
Alright, thank you, Sohana. Well, I would say the main differences between terminology and general vocabulary is that terminology refers to specialized words used within a specific field like photosynthesis in biology or habeas corpus in law, while general vocabulary covers everyday words we use in normal conversation. Terminology carries precise meaning that professionals in that field agree upon, so there's very little room for personal interpretation. And if a translator uses different terms for the same concept throughout a document, it can easily confuse the reader and make the translation seems unreliable. For example, if a medical translator switches between heart attack and cardiac arrest without even realizing they mean different things, that inconsistency could even lead to a serious misunderstanding. Consistency builds trust and it shows that the translators understand the subject and even maintain accuracy from start to finish. And between perfect and consistent terminology, which I think that influence translation quality more and why? Well, I honestly think that terminology consistency has a bigger impact on translation quality. A sentence can still be grammatically correct but completely misleading if the wrong term is used. And grammar affects readability, but terminology affects meaning. And meaning is what truly defines a good translation. Alright. And moving on to our beautiful and cute second speaker, Sayang binti Sabaran. I'll leave the stage for you.
Okay, thank you, Faris. Have you ever read a translation and realized one single word was wrong? So wrong that it completely changed the meaning? It's very scary how a small mistranslation can shift intent, law, or trust. So today I want to talk about mistranslation as an example, why some fields cannot face any errors, and the real challenge translators face in keeping words consistent. So let's begin with a real example based on a Reddit post that I have saw. A well-known historical example is the Treaty of Bushal in 1889 between Ethiopia and Italy. In this treaty, a single word in the Amharic and Italian versions differed. The Italian version used wording that essentially said Ethiopia must conduct its foreign policy through Italy, while the Amharic version said Ethiopia could. And this mistranslation allowed Italy to claim Ethiopia as a protectorate, which Ethiopia disputes, eventually leading to war. Moving on, realistically, all fields can face any terminology mistakes, since it will lead to misunderstanding and can give a dangerous impact. For example, in the medical field, wrong translation could result in misdiagnosis or wrong treatment, and this can affect someone's career and also someone's life. You also need to make sure that every term you use in your legal documents, whether they are written in one language or several, conveys the intended meaning clearly and concisely, because the smallest misunderstanding or difference could alter the course of your case, endanger the legality, or interfere with international business activities. And for this reason, using consistent terminology is essential to maintaining your legal arguments, and to maintaining terminology consistency is more than just a word choice. It concerns integrity, equity, and also legal safeguards. Serious consequences in law can also result from even a small inconsistency, such as interpreting termination clause and also as a break clause, which can totally alter the meaning. So for my last point, which is I want to talk about the challenge in keeping terminology consistent as a translators. One of the common challenges for translators in order to keep the consistency in terminology is sometimes different departments prefer different terms. For instance, when referring to a coding problem in an IT organization, the software development team may use the phrase bug to refer a problem, while the quality assurance, which is the QA team, would rather use the terms issue or defect. Although both have the same meaning, each term use the term that they prefer to use. And therefore, the translator needs to be aware of the department to which the text belongs while translating reports or papers, because if not, that team can perceive it as imprecise or disrespectful. To address this, translators translators should establish a translation memory or glossary for every department to maintain uniformity and clarity in language. And in conclusion, the next time you see a translation, remember one small term can change everything in fields like law, medicine, and technology. Precision in terminology is not optional and it is essential. But translators face serious challenges in maintaining that precision, technical knowledge, consistency, evolving vocabulary, and cultural adaptation. It's a delicate and skilled craft, and mistakes, though it's invisible sometimes, can carry a real consequences. So basically, translators need to be like very careful and in order to keep the terminology consistent. So that's all from me. I pass to the third speaker, which is Azrul.
Alright, thank you, Sayang. And then let's talk about. Let's think from a client's point of view, because when we look at things from a client's point of view, the first things they often notice in a translation is how accurate and consistent and the terminology is. Clients may not always pay attention to every grammatical detail, but they can quickly tell when a term sounds off or doesn't fit their field. For them, correct terminology reflects professionalism and understanding. It shows that the translators know their industry and respects the company's identity. For example, if a translator is working on a medical or technical document, using the right terms build trust and give the impression of expertise. But if the terms are inconsistent or used wrongly, it can make the whole translation seem careless, even if everything else is well written. So, to most clients, accurate terminology isn't just a minor detail, it's what truly represents the quality and credibility of the translations. And then, using the wrong term might seem like a small mistake, but it can actually affect a company's image in a big way. Words shape how people see a brand. If translated documents uses the wrong terms, especially in professional or technical contexts, it might make the company looks untrustworthy or less competent. Imagine a technology company using the wrong term for one of its own products. It could confuse customers and make them question the brand's professionalism. In some cases, it can even damage relationship with clients or partners who expect precision and consistency. Once the trust is shaken, it takes a lot to rebuild it. That's why being careful with terminology isn't just about translation accuracy. It's also about maintaining the company's reputation and showing that it values clear and professional communication. And finally, when handling a technical translation project, one of the best ways to stay consistent with terminology is to plan ahead. Creating a terminology list or glossary before starting the translation helps a lot. This list includes all key terms and technical words and specific phrases that needs to stay the same throughout the document. Using translation tools like CAT, which is computer assisted translation software, can also help by storing this and suggesting terms that have already been approved. But technology alone isn't enough. It's just as important to communicate closely with the client to confirm their preferred terms or style. In larger projects involving several translators, regular check-ins and reviews help make sure everyone stays on the same page. That's all from me, and I'll pass on to the fourth speaker.
Thank you, Azrul. Hmm. I've actually noticed inconsistent translation quite a few times, especially in movie subtitles or product manuals. For instance, a character might be called chief in one scene, then leader or boss in another. It might seem minor, but as a viewer, it feels distracting and unprofessional. It breaks the flow and makes me question whether the translator really understood the context. One mistranslated term can definitely cause serious confusion too in medical translation. For example, if the English word stroke was translated incorrectly, it could lead to misunderstanding a diagnosis or treatment. Even a small terminology error can have real consequences in fields like medicine, law, or engineering. That's why consistent and accurate terminology matters so much. It's not just about choosing words, it's about maintaining fairness, accuracy, and professionalism. Proper terminology ensures that every reader, regardless of language, gets the same meaning. And for translators, it shows credibility and respect toward both the client and the audience. So that's from me.
All right, thank you everyone, and thank you, Sahin. So next, we will be exploring the different terminology tools that is used by translators. Before we jump into it, a good terminology tool combines several key features to aid translators effectively. These key features are accuracy, in which the tool must provide reliable, domain-specific terms that are verified, and speed, which allows quick search and retrieval of terms during fast-paced translation work. Now, um, functionality, and usability to support both quality and efficiency. In relations, translators must master one tool deeply to allow the full use of its feature and greater efficiency in daily work. They must also be familiar with more than one tool for flexibility when working with different clients who may require different platforms. In short, staying adaptable helps translators keep up with industry trends while deeper specialization ensures high quality product. So the first tool that I will be introducing is SDL multi-term, which is like Trados. It possesses deep integration with Trados Studio and its robust term-based creation. So this one is ideal for professional translators working in structured, repeat-heavy environments. So moving on, we also have Sketch Engine, which is known for its corpus-based tool that shows how terms are used in real context. This one is ideal for linguists or translators needing in-depth contextual understanding. So to simplify, each tool serves different needs for each individual. So I will be passing this to the next speaker, Faris.
Right, thank you. I think SDL multi-term is so widely used because it's one of the most established and reliable terminology management tools in the translation industry, and it allows translators to store, organize, and manage specialized terms in one centralized database, which makes it easier to maintain consistency across multiple projects or even documents. Professionals like it because it's compatible with many languages and has strong quality control features. It also integrates seamlessly with SDL Trados, which is one of the most popular CAD tools. When used together, they create a smooth workflow. Trados automatically check the translation against the multi-term database, so translators are instantly alerted if they are using the wrong or inconsistent term. This not only saves time but also helps ensure accuracy throughout the translation process. As for simple extractor, it's great because it helps translator build a glossary before starting the actual translation. It ultimately identifies and extracts key terms from the source text, which gives translator a clear list of important words that standardized early on. This preparation helps prevents confusion later and even ensures consistent terminology right from the beginning. Right, thank you. Moving on to Sayang.
Okay, thank you, Faris. Now that we have seen how serious terminology consistency is, so let's talk about some tools that help translators manage and maintain it effectively. Sorry, there are many terminology management tools out there, but the most two popular ones are TermSuite and Sketch Engine. So as we all know, TermSuite use automatic term extraction, and how does that speed things up compared to doing it manually? So automatic term extraction in TermSuite helps translators to identify key terms faster by scanning large amounts of text and pulling out relevant terminology. This saves translators from time-consuming tasks of manually searching, listing, and comparing terms. It's especially useful when working with specialized or technical documents where hundreds of terms appear repeatedly. By automating this process, translators can focus more on accuracy and context instead of spending hours sorting through terminology. And some people might thought that do you think it's more helpful for academic research or professional translation projects? TermSuite can actually be beneficial for both. In academic research, it helps to identify and analyze domain-specific terms across multiple papers or studies. For professional translators, it ensures consistency in terminology used across large projects, such as manuals, contracts, or corporate materials. However, in professional settings, it can be even more valuable because consistent terminology directly affects quality, credibility, and client satisfaction. And how can Sketch Engine improve the term of accuracy? Sketch engine allows translators to analyze how words and terms are actually used in a real world context by pulling data from large language corporate. This helps in understanding collocations, frequency, and also natural usage patterns. Instead of guessing how a term should be translated, translators can see how it's actually used in the authentic text. That improves accuracy, especially when translating idiomatic or field specific terminology like law or medicine. So, is it technical or not for using Sketch Engine to explore term patterns across language? It actually depends on the translator's experience and purpose. Sketch Engine can be quite technical at first, but for those that are familiar with the corpus linguistics, it's actually a powerful tool to explore patterns, translation equivalence, and terminology evolution across languages. For everyday translation work, some may prefer simpler tools, but for in-depth research or a high-stakes projects, Sketch Engines provides more detailed linguistic insights that most basic terminology tools cannot offer. And that is all from me. I will pass to the third speaker, Azrul.
Okay. Thank you, Sayang. So it's actually already been uh, over 20 minutes. So I suggest that we hasten our discussion. So there's a statement that says Terminus manage terminology-based database. But how does that ensure consistency across several projects or teams? Terminus helps ensure consistency by managing shared terminology database that store approved terms and translation in one place. This keeps everyone, which means translators, editors, and proofreaders, on the same page. So even when multiple projects or teams are involved, the language stays uniform and professional. And then, is it more efficient for collaborative teams or solo translators? I think it's especially efficient for collaborative teams since it prevents mix-up when several translators are working on different parts of the same project. Solo translators can still benefit too, especially when managing recurring clients or long-term projects, as it helps maintain consistent terminology over time. That's all from me. Let's move on to the fourth speaker, Zahid.
Thank you, Azrul. So my tools are Rainbow and JATE. Rainbow is part of the OCAPI framework, and it's mainly used for localization. That means translating software, websites, or apps into multiple languages. What makes Rainbow useful is that it matches terminology automatically during the translation process. So if you translate an interface button like save or exit, the tool keeps those terms consistent across the entire project. Another strong point of Rainbow is its multi-language support. It can handle several languages at once, which gives it a big edge for global translation projects. So I'd say it's especially helpful for professional translators working in localization teams. Meanwhile, JATE or Java Automatic Team Abstraction focuses on identifying key terms from large text. It's an open source toolkit that helps build glossaries quickly by extracting domain-specific terms automatically. This is really helpful for students, researchers, or translators who work with technical or academic content. If I had to choose between them, I'd probably pick JTE for academic use. It's simpler, lightweight, and great for research. Projects where we need to identify key terms accurately. Rainbow, on the other hand, would be more suitable for professional localization projects where consistency across multiple languages is crucial. So that's it from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zahin. So our last topic of discussion is the impact of terminology tools on translation quality. Now, terminology tools improve translation quality by ensuring consistency, that is, the same term used throughout the document or project, as I've said previously. It also helps maintain client preferences like glossaries and term bases that can be customized to reflect brand language, tone, or subject-specific requirements. These tools are highly effective in reducing human errors as it is able to catch the inconsistencies that translators might overlook, especially in long text. So it minimizes typos and incorrect formatting of frequently used terms, for example, capitalizations and abbreviations. So I'll pass this on to Faris.
Right, thank you. These tools also save translator a lot of time because they can quickly search for terms instead of manually checking dictionaries or even their past projects. Some tools even highlight terms automatically as you translate, so you don't really need to stop your workflow. That efficiency helps maintain speed without lowering their quality. And that's all. Sayang.
Okay, thank you, Faris. So, for translators can balance between tool efficiency and their own linguistic intuition by using tools like Kia or Sketch Engine as support systems, not as a decision makers. These tools only can help to speed up tasks like term extraction and consistency checking. But translators should always review the suggestion critically. While the tools handles the technical side, human intuition ensures that the translation sound natural, fits the context, and respects the cultural norms. So I'll pass to Azrul.
Okay, thank you, Sayang. While tools like Terminus and Kia are useful, translators can face challenges such as high costs, complex interfaces, or limited language options. These tools tend to work best with major languages, so translation involving less common or indigenous languages may not get accurate results due to limited data. When databases become outdated or terms conflict, translators should regularly review and update them, confirm key terms with clients, and remove duplicates or old entries. Keeping the database clean and current helps maintain accuracies and consistency across projects. That's all from me.
Thank you, Azrul. Looking to the future, I think terminology tools will continue to evolve with artificial intelligence. We are already seeing AI that can suggest terms automatically or detect inconsistency between translation. In a few years, translator might even use AI-assisted glossaries that update themselves as language and terminology evolve. Because of that, I think universities should start teaching translation students how to use these tools earlier. If students get familiar with terminology software from the beginning, they'll be more prepared for professional translation work later on.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining the discussion and presenting your topic. This discussion ends here.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone.